Lady Bird Johnson, the wife of late President Lyndon Johnson, is a Texas icon. She was also one of the most influential but perhaps most misunderstood first ladies. A new documentary premiering today on Hulu called The Lady Bird Diaries shines a new light on the First Lady. I'm joined now by the film's producer and director, Dawn Porter. Dawn, thank you for coming on this afternoon. You know, Lady Bird Johnson was no wallflower, was she?
That is a perfect description. She was a very proud Texan. She was a very independent woman, and she really had a very definite opinion about what the role of the First Lady should be and where she could make it her own.
What inspired you to do this film?
You know, I've made films about Bobby Kennedy. I'd made a film about John Lewis. And when I was introduced to these tapes, Lady Bird recorded 123 hours of audio tapes documenting her time in the White House. And I thought, here's an opportunity to examine this same period of history through the eyes of this woman. And so she really gives us a very intimate and personal account of what it's like to live in the White House through her diaries.
And you talk about being intimate and personal. In one of the clips that I saw this morning, I had no idea that President Johnson had this debilitating case of depression.
That's right. You know, and that's one of the insights. Lady Bird required that the tapes be embargoed until after her death, and she died when she was in her 90s. So, but she recounts in very, you know, explicit detail that Johnson was so depressed that he actually thought about resigning from the White House. And not only did he think about resigning, but he went so far as Lady Bird wrote out his resignation statement, handed it to him, he put it in his pocket when he went to deliver an address to the United States public. And so she is recording as he's delivering his address to the public, and she says, is he going to do it? Is he going to reach into his pocket? And you can see on the archival footage that moment that Johnson hesitates. We came that close to having the President of the United States resign on national television.
After reviewing the more than 100 hours worth of audio tapes from Lady Bird Johnson, was there one thing in particular that stood out to you?
I think the thing that stood out to me is Lady Bird was a really diligent chronicler of history. In her diaries, she would recount which reporters were present at which events. And when we started to do the archival research, when we just put her name into search, you know, we put in the name Lady Bird Johnson, very little came back as a result. We put in Mrs. Johnson, a little bit more. President's wife, no name at all, a little bit more. We realized we needed to go back to her diaries in order to find footage to marry with her tapes. So this is an all archival film. And what we found is Lady Bird was an incredibly accurate journalist, an incredibly accurate teller of history. So we were able to do this entire film with no talking heads, no outside discussion. It's literally just her tapes and the footage that matches. And she really just matched it almost perfectly each time.
The Lady Bird Diaries, streaming exclusively on Hulu. It premieres today. Dawn Porter, the producer and director of the film, thank you for coming on this afternoon.
Thanks so much for having me.